Hey, Joe.
Hey, there he is. I know it's been a tumultuous week for you, and we can spend some time on the fifth district later on. But I really wanted to focus in on these constitutional amendments. What are the odds we can stop these in either the House or the Senate?
Well, you got a good point. They have a majority in the House and the Senate. And, everyone poured their heart and soul into the election. We had a Republican governor. He raised a ton of money. We lost. And elections have consequences. And, we were talking earlier, and you're right. They do have a way around the governor, and that is to pass this in the House and the Senate 2 years in a row. And so it's a sad time for Virginia.
Well, it's going to make, in two things, I think it makes this issue over Ghazala Hashmi's candidacy very important now, because apparently it still looks like she lied on her paperwork to be a candidate. And I don't know if the lies have consequences anymore, John, but at least that would put the Senate into a 50-50 split, giving the tie-breaking vote to the lieutenant governor, correct?
Well, I think that even if we got rid of Hashmi, they would still have it.
Oh.
They would still have the votes they needed.
Really? Even amongst, I guess there are Republicans who just don't want to touch this issue.
I don't know. I mean, I think the Democrats have the numbers to get this with or without Hashmi, and I think that it's rules for thee, not rules for me. If it was a Republican, the candidate would be gone. But, they've got the judges in place and everything else. I'm not saying we don't fight give it all we've got, but yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, luckily we can bring it back because it has to, as I understand the constitutional amendment process. So they pass it this year, but then it's got to languish for 4 years until the Senate goes through its next cycle. So that's going to be a big issue. Hopefully the Republicans can gird their loins in 4 years and then fight it there. Otherwise, it comes to the voters in 28. And I know we're talking way in advance, but I mean, this is scary stuff, John. There are no weeks in here. Shall not be infringed. This is scary language that they're throwing around.
Definitely. And I've been a stalwart in my support of protecting life. You may know I'm the only member of the General Assembly that got up on the floor and gave a speech that said life begins at conception, and I carried a baby sock on my backpack to every committee meeting for 6 years to remind people that we must protect our most vulnerable. And when they needed folks to go in and make the vote to keep marriage between a man and a woman, I volunteered to be the guy on the committee to keep it that way. So, but I'll tell you, they're fighting with all they've got to get their radical agenda. But you remember our founding fathers said, this republic won't work unless we're a moral nation.
Sure.
And, we're in tough times right now, Joe.
Well, they've demoralized us. They take it out of the schools. Luckily, we still have us talking about this on the floor. And have you pre-filed any bills yet?
I got a whole list of bills. We're getting ready to pull the trigger. We are still just tidying up stakeholders and stuff. So yes, we've got bills on many different categories. But look, I'm a positive guy, and I'm going to fight. I always do. And I've been able to pass bills in a Democrat majority. Remember, they had one-party Democrat rule.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. And I've been able to pass bills in a majority. So obviously, we were really hoping to get a majority in the House and Senate so we could protect life and liberty and pursuit of happiness, our God-given rights. But now that we have a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House, I'm still going to put those bills in. I'm going to fight for them. It's going to be a lot tougher.
So I want to pivot because it's been a tumultuous week, but you brought it. I guess you bought it. You get to own it. I know a lot of folks have been kind of blindsided by the announcement that you were going to challenge Congressman Good for the 5th District nomination to the U.S. House of Representatives. I've told people, I said, well, that primary is going to be in May or June. I think June. So you can't wait around for it. So anyone who's got those intentions, we've seen a couple of Democrats already announce in the 7th District as well. John, take us into the thought process. Was this going on for some time? When did you decide you wanted to do this?
Well, a couple of things before I forget. I want to wish all of your listeners a happy Thanksgiving. Despite these tough times, I know God's going to get the last word. So keep it positive. I think our better days ahead of us, and we have a lot to be thankful for. And also, Joe, thank you for giving me a chance to talk about this. You know, I sent out a press release. I don't know if you saw it. I had 4 grievances in that press release. And one is I just really believe that we can do better than good in the 5th Congressional District. He's no Thomas Jefferson. And I've been knocking doors all over the place for months campaigning. We won a convention. You were there, 63%. People that come to me and said it was their best day in politics. It was just so positive, lots of prayers, lots of positivity. But people have come to me every day saying, John, are you going to run against Bob? John, you should run against Bob. And my answer would be, I'm running for state senate. I'm running for state senate. But he did this, he did that. I'm running for state senate. It just started to weigh on me. And, you know, you probably saw that, you know, he's a never Trumper. I mean, in the 2016, he was all about Ted Cruz, which is fine, but he's not a Trumper. And then last year, he begged Trump for an endorsement. And then the day Trump got some ridiculous indictment, he betrayed Trump and he endorsed a different candidate. I think Trump is the best president we ever had. I think the future of our country is at stake in 2024. And we have got to have a America First candidate to get Trump through the primary. We got to have an America First candidate to get Trump through the general. And we've got to have an America First congressman to support the America First agenda. So that's grievance number one. He seems to always want to pivot to McCarthy. But the truth is, I've never had a conversation with McCarthy. He likes to say that I took money from McCarthy. But, Joe, I've never taken $1 from McCarthy. But you know who has? Bob Good. He was flailing because his inability to raise money during one of his elections. McCarthy gave him an incredible amount of money. So I have not taken any money from McCarthy. No one's promised me any money from McCarthy. I'm raising incredible money right now. And the way I'm doing it is when I call somebody up and tell them that he backstabbed Trump, they say to me on the phone, John, what's the maximum donation I can give you? The American people love Trump. The people in the 5th Congressional District love Trump. Now, you and I were talking about these constitutional amendments that are really a nightmare to our freedoms. I believe that we have reports every day. I helped 17 candidates across Virginia. I gave out thousands of dollars in this district and outside this district. Not just me. Everybody was fighting and working to help Governor Glenn Youngkin get a majority in the House and the Senate. And even at the Republican Senate caucus retreat, fellow Republican senators were saying, yes, they noticed a big difference at the doors when they started having that infighting in D.C. for the speaker. Because when you're knocking on doors, all they see is Republicans can't govern, Republicans can't get along, and they say things like the Republican Party is a dumpster fire. Why would I vote Republican?
Well, John,
if you look at the total votes, Joe, it wasn't that. There was a lot of tight races, and so and Governor Youngkin said we can win this. We just can't do anything stupid. Now, there's no question. Mike Johnson is awesome. He's more aligned with me and my values, and he's great. But even him, he's getting attacked right now for the continuing resolution that he had to pass. I know it's tough. I just wish he would have waited till November 8th. That's all I'm saying on that.
So, and going back to that, because, and I live in this world. I've lived in this world since long before 2017, but certainly 2017 was a flashpoint of sometimes feeling like a lone voice of sanity, and certainly conservative talk radio has always tried to be, not just the hair on fire, but I don't want a government that just reacts to whatever CNN anchors and Joe and Mika say. If that's going to be who our Republican leadership is Joe Scarborough and what he says about what's going on in Washington, I don't like that world either. And I'll push back on whether I thought that was. I spent a long time saying that wasn't a dumpster fire just because Rachel Maddow said it was. I think it was just a parliamentary battle over who was going to hold the gavel. And Kevin McCarthy, as far as Bob Good has told us here on the show, just broke promises to the caucus, and then they had to go find somebody who was going to replace him.
So, Joe, I don't have an argument with that. All I'm saying, it is what it is. It definitely impacted our elections. Virginia is a blue state or a purple state at best. and we were getting close. I'm just saying, I wish we could have waited to November 8th. Obviously, we had problems in Israel. We couldn't help our allies. Babies were getting burned. I have friends that text me from Israel and said they absolutely burned children in front of their parents and chopped their heads off. It's major evil. So I understand. I hear what you're saying, and I do like Mike Johnson. I think he's very aligned with me. But there's another issue, and I put this in my press release, is the concern for how Bob Good treats the people in the district. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. Almost every day I get an account of him verbally just yelling at constituents because he has a disagreement with them. Like, they tell me the conversation's going great, and then all of a sudden they have a disagreement, and he just puts his finger in their face and gets after them. And even yesterday, I went to a football game, Virginia Tech, and probably 20 people came up to me and said, "Thank God somebody's going after Bob Good." And then they gave their personal stories. One guy said after Bob Good won his election, he called a young college kid up at Liberty University and said he was a disgrace and embarrassment to the Republican Party because he didn't support Bob Good's election. I won that convention. I promise you, Joe, I didn't call Dwayne Adams, any of his supporters, and call them a disgrace. So they've created this political apparatus. And apparently they've gone to the chairs and said, "I want you to pledge your allegiance to Bob or we're getting rid of you." But I'm not running to represent a political apparatus. I'm running to represent we the people. And Bob didn't get that in the convention. He got up there and you heard his speech, and it had no effect. We got 63% on a first ballot in a four-way convention. So because I campaign to we the people, not some political apparatus.
And I want to ask this one because you brought up the convention, and certainly a barn burner and twice speaking at your convention, the 10th district is a very, very loud Bob Good supporter as well. By what I read, I haven't talked to her since last week, but Amanda Chase was a great supporter of yours and is a great supporter of Bob's. Have you talked to her? Because she carries a lot of weight in the Commonwealth, even though she didn't win her primary battle to stay in the Senate.
Yeah, I have spoken to her. I don't want to share private conversations, but she has been a great leader for the conservative movement, and I'm certainly a supporter of Amanda Chase. But I'll tell you something else. You asked me earlier, like why now? And you're right, you do need enough runway. But I wanted to make a statement of how important this is. I really, really believe that we can do better than good in the 5th Congressional District. And, if you and I walked out in your parking lot right now and we saw someone verbally abusing a grandmother, would you wait 6 months to do something about it? Would you walk over there and do something about it? Or would you sprint? I'm a Navy SEAL, and we sprint to the fire. This guy is a problem in our district, and I'm going to give it all I've got. He has no idea the energy I've got behind this. Every day I'm getting more and more reports on how he is treating his constituents. He should love the people of the 5th Congressional District. It is an honor. We work for you, we the people. It's not the other way around.
Well, John, and I said this to Bob as well, and I've said it publicly, I will personally set aside hours on the radio for a debate if you guys have one. So you have a place, you have a time. I'll put you out there on the internet and our smartphone app. I'll get other stations involved if we need to, but I will personally commit to hosting a debate between you two folks if that's what you guys want to do at some point before the primary comes here.
I love it, Joe. And Joe, I really appreciate you being a strong conservative voice. As you can see from these terrible constitutional amendments we discussed in the beginning, we need voices like you. And thank you for allowing us to talk about these conservative values that we must protect at all costs.
Well, and I appreciate it. I was going to make sure that we finished on the note of Thanksgiving, because you're right. God gives us our rights, not government. Government's just supposed to protect them. And I bless you for trying to be that kind of person, and thank you for what you've done so far and in the future as well. But more than anything else, I hope you have all your family around with you for Thanksgiving as well.
Same to you and your audience. Hey, Joe, can I get my website real quick?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting all that other, niceties of radio. And by the way, don't let Rusty take all the yams at Thanksgiving either, okay?
Yeah, I can't wait to see my brother, Rusty McGuire. You know, he's the Commonwealth Attorney of Louisa County, and he's on the front line protecting our freedoms as well. Yeah, so I have a brand new website. It's McGuireVA.com. So it's simple. It's McGuireva for Virginia, so VA.com.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, John. You have a blessed Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. God bless you and your audience. Bye-bye.
Keeping Joe Thomas.